Hi, everyone, and welcome to our event today, Level Up Your Workspace with Notion AI. We're so happy to have you here. We're just getting started, so feel free to type into the chat where are you from, how long have you been using Notion, and have you tried Notion AI? And we'd love to hear everyone's experiences with Notion. So feel free to type into the chat. If you're joining through YouTube, we'll have a more interactive space over on our Zoom. So feel free to also use the link to join through our Zoom if you want to be active into the chat. Welcome, Brenda. Welcome, Mike. Great to hear that you've tried Notion AI. Okay, so maybe we can start now. Hi, Regina from London. So first, we wanted to go over the itinerary of the event today. So we'll be going over an introduction, followed by why we use Notion AI, and then we'll be covering the top tips for using Notion AI, and then we'll be building something very simple that incorporates Notion AI, so you can kind of see how it might be useful for you. And finally, we'll also talk about the pricing, followed by a dedicated Q&A. And then we'll also show you how to download our freebies and all other information. So I can see a lot of people trickling in. Welcome, Guillaume. Welcome, Blair. And welcome, Sitar from Bhutan. Very cool. So let's go ahead and get to the introduction. So first of all, who we are. So we specialize in designing Notion templates that can help you optimize your workflow, organize data, and increase productivity. Be sure to check out our website and template store. We have a lot of freebies and free resources for beginners to get started with Notion. And we're run by two passionate Notion creators. My name is Sarah, and Anne will be managing the chat. So if you see any replies to all your comments, Anne will be very busy into the chat with you all. A few notes about the event. Be sure to add your comments and questions to the chat. Please keep the conversation respectful and about the event. Just a friendly reminder, the chat section is to discuss this event and Notion related topics. Messages not related to these will be moderated and removed if necessary. And if you're over on YouTube, there's a slight lag. So we'll be mainly covering those questions at the end of the session. If you type your question into the meeting chat on Zoom, we might also cover those, but mainly we'll be covering them towards the end. So let's go ahead and get to the next page. So first, we wanted to talk about why you should use Notion AI. Obviously, there's a lot of different AI tools out there now. So what makes Notion AI unique? So the first thing is that you can improve your writing with personalized experience. So it can assist you in drafting, editing, and refining content, helping to create more polished documents based on your voice and tone. So as you use Notion AI more, it learns your preferences and writing style, becoming more tailored to your needs. So if you use Notion on a daily basis and you just want everything in one place, Notion AI can be great because you don't have to go over to ChatGPT or other tools and then pasting in your content into Notion, but rather it's just a seamless experience. And you can basically improve your writing all inside of Notion. So that's why we really recommend Notion. We also use it as well, and it's just a huge game changer. The next thing that makes Notion really useful is the quick summaries. So Notion AI can generate concise summaries of long documents, saving time on information processing. And basically, what's great about Notion AI is the way that you can integrate it inside of your databases. So that really sets it apart from other AI tools because you can basically use it as an additional AI property. We'll also be covering this a bit later, but basically, it can allow you to generate summaries based on your content inside of your database. So that can be really useful. The next thing is idea generation. So you can provide prompts and suggestions to spark your creativity. So if you're looking to brainstorm inside of your page, if you have like a brainstorm page and so on, you can just ask it to brainstorm for you and then it can really spark some creativity and ideas. So we really like AI in general so that you can really think if you have some kind of block then AI can really help you to sort of unlock that and have some suggestions. The next thing that makes it really useful is the language translation. So again, the translation can be used within databases. So that means that if you have something in the database that you want translated into another language, you can do that with Notion AI. And this is also really useful if you're working across different languages in your team, for example. So this is what makes it really great. And finally, data analysis. So you can interpret data and generate insights from tables and databases within Notion. So this is also really useful. And it kind of provides a way to view your entire wealth of knowledge inside of Notion without having to look at each specific thing, but AI can kind of generally look through it, which can be super useful. So now if we go next, we're going to be covering the top tips for using Notion AI. And this should also provide some ideas on how it could work for you. So the first thing, which is the very, very basics of Notion AI, is just the keyboard shortcuts. So the first thing you'll want to know when you're using Notion AI is that you can type /AI command and it's going to load your AI. So basically, if you type here /AI, you can see that you can continue writing, translate, ask a question, ask about this page, fix spelling, grammar, and you can see more. Another thing that they've recently changed is that basically you can also access the AI from below here. So you can also just ask anything here. You can also use the keyboard shortcut command, which is Control or Command J, and that's going to also load Notion AI. So all of these are really useful ways to use Notion AI. So that's the very basics. If you want to just get started, we recommend you just to play around with it at first. So by typing /AI, you can basically ask it to do various things. If you also want it to sort of be used on a particular area, you can also highlight it and then you can see like ask AI and so on. So that's another way if you were looking for like a particular thing. So you can do that as well. So now we actually get into the AI database properties. So we're going to be going through each one and we can show you exactly how they work. So here we basically have a very simple Notion database view of a table. And let's say that you have sample resources inside. So we basically just have some text here just so that it's going to look through it. So we have here. And we're going to start adding properties that use AI. So if we go ahead and click the plus sign, and then what we can do is to choose one of the AI properties. So if we go here, type AI, you can see that there's AI summary, AI custom autofill, AI translation, and AI keywords. So the first one we're going to show you is AI summary. So if we click AI summary, we can go ahead and try on this view, and that's going to load a summary. So as you can see, it loads the summary of each of these contents automatically, basically. So if we click here, you can also update it. And this is really game changing if you have a lot of text in here and you just want a really brief summary to use outside here. The next property we can show you is the AI translation. So if we click AI translation, and you can choose what you're going to translate. So let's say that we want to translate the name and the AI summary. You can do all properties, or you can do something like just the AI summary that you want to translate to another language. And if we click here, translate, these are all of the current options that Notion has in terms of translations. So let's say that we wanted to translate everything into, let's say, Korean. You could just click this and then try on this view. So as you can see, everything has been translated here. So if you're working across different teams and different languages, this can be a really nice way for everyone to really understand the content inside of here, for example, or even if you're learning another language, this can be a great way so that you can kind of practice as well. So the next AI property we're going to show you is the AI keywords. And AI keywords basically generate multi-select properties relating to the topic. And you can basically just add the AI keywords like this. And you can also choose various options here, like generate new options and so on. And you can also choose more like this. So now we have the AI keywords. So if we click update, it's going to generate some keywords. So as you can see, it's basically a multi-select. We can also generate here. And you can see that there's project planning here, task management also um, kind of has both here. So that means that if you wanted to filter your content based on keywords, this can also really save you some time so that you can see your information like that. The final thing that actually has the most flexibility is the AI custom autofill. And this one allows you to basically add a prompt into your database. So if we click AI custom autofill, and let's say that we want a 5 questions reading comprehension of the resource like this, then you can try on this view and it's going to generate it. So if we click out, save changes, then you can see here that there's 5 questions here. So you can see what are the main components included in the project management template? How does the content planning template assist in organized topics and schedules? What features included and so on. So this can also be really useful if you're looking to study using using Notion AI. So this can be very useful as well. So the next thing we're going to cover, so basically we've now covered all 4 kinds of AI properties that you can use on your database. The Notion AI here for autofill, this you can add as many as you want with different prompts. So this is highly customizable. The translation, you can also add multiple languages and so on. So this is very useful. So the next thing is AI blocks. So we're going to go into the AI blocks, and AI blocks are this kind of thing that you can add as a block. So Notion is made out of blocks. So if you're here, for example, and you wanted to add an AI block, you can simply type slash and then AI, and then you can add a custom AI block. So you can generate content from any instruction. So if we click custom AI block like this, you can do things like summarize, find action items, and so on. So if we, for example, do this, it's going to basically be added as a block. And the benefits of the block is that if you change the content up here, you can actually just update the text below and it's going to generate a new AI content below. So the Notion AI block can also be a very useful thing to try to incorporate into Notion. So the next thing we wanted to talk about is the translation. So we covered the translation briefly above with the property, but basically you can just simply click plus here and add AI translation. Oh, not this one. You can add the AI translation and you can translate the English into, let's say, this time French, and you can try on this view. So here you can see everything translated. So in this use case, if we delete this property, you can see that this could be a really useful start if you're looking to collect vocabulary and you're learning languages. So you can basically translate this. If we open this up and let's say that we have a text here and we want to highlight it, and we can ask AI to translate it into, let's say, French. You can also do the same thing here like this, and you can choose whether to insert it below, try again, or close. So if you insert below, it's going to insert the translation below. So the translation works in this way that you can either translate content inside or you can add it as a property. So next, if we go on to the summary, so if we click summary, you can now see that you can use the included AI summary. So we just showed the AI summary block, not the block, but the property. And basically, it kind of just generated the AI summary as it's intended like this. And sometimes this can be way too long. So instead of that, something you can also consider when you're looking for summaries is that you can click the plus sign and do an AI custom autofill and then ask it to make a short summary of one sentence, for example, or any kind of length that you're looking for. And you can try it on this view, save changes. So now we just added this one, and you can see here that the AI summary that's included as a property is way longer than the one that we just added with the custom prompt. So sometimes you might want to consider a custom prompt over a AI translation, AI summary that's already pre-included like this. So adding kind of various style options too can be really helpful for AI. So if we edit this property, and we go to a custom autofill. As you can see, we asked it for a short summary of one sentence. So if you're very particular about how you want the end result to look like, it's really good to just add more here. So the next thing we wanted to show is revisions. So you can ask AI to help you revise your writing. So this is also really useful. So here we have some sample text for you about AI. And let's say that we purposely mistype something. So we can do, for example, such machine, intelligence of human and animals, and we can kind of mistype some things. So now what you can do is just highlight this whole thing and you can just either improve writing, which is going to improve the general writing, or you can ask AI to fix spelling and grammar. So if you do fix spelling and grammar, it's mainly going to target your spelling and grammar mistakes. But if you wanted to generally make your writing nicer, you can also do improve writing. So let's go ahead and do fix spelling and grammar to see if it fixed it. So here you can see this kind of thing, and then you can accept. And then you can see that it's fixed some of our spelling mistakes here. So we had originally put such machine, and then it's now machines. The other thing you can do is if you highlight this whole thing and then you click improve writing, it's going to simply improve your writing. So you can see here that it's a little bit different. So you can see that develops and examines intelligent machines, develops and studies intelligent machines. So in this way, it has kind of edited the writing a bit as well. So now if we go back, we can keep this writing. We can go ahead and go to the next section, which is about idea generation. So let's go ahead and close these and close this one. So the next one is relating to idea generation. And for idea generation, you can basically ask it to come up with new ideas. So for example, if we click plus new, and if we open it up and we're looking for some ideas on a blog article, you can do, for example, blog about AI. And then here you can do /AI, and then you can see more. And basically you can ask Notion AI for a brainstorming outline for a blog about AI, and then enter, and it starts thinking and it's going to give you an outline. So here you can see now various things, and then you can accept. So if you're really stuck about what kind of thing could you possibly write about for AI, you can go ahead and ask AI for an outline. And you don't have to use everything, but this just can be a huge benefit if you're just kind of stuck. So now what you can do is simply start writing and sort of incorporate these ideas into each section. And it's still going to be your own writing, but just that it's going to save you some time in terms of thinking about new ideas and what you could add. And instead, AI has basically come up with an outline that you can kind of fill in. So We highly recommend this kind of thing for idea generation. And you can also ask it to write drafts for you as well. So you can use that as a um, way to sort of generate new ideas. So now we're going to go into autofill blocks. And we kind of showed you the blocks inside of Notion for AI. So you can do like /AI, and then you can see it here that there's a custom AI block. So if we take this a step further, and this is one of the best ways that we like to use these kinds of autofill blocks is inside of database templates. So here we have our meeting notes. So let's say that we click here and we want to add a new template. Inside this new template, so every time you have a new meeting, so this is a new meeting, you plan to write your notes here. So we have /heading3 notes /divider. And let's say that we have some space for the notes. And then finally here you can do /AI and then add a custom AI block. And in the custom AI block, we want it to create an action list based on the notes. And you want to make sure not to hit the generate button and instead just keep it like this in the template. So once we hit click out, and let's say that we add a new meeting note, and you can click new meeting, and it's going to load this template below. And here, if you see here, let's say that we ask AI to come up with some sample AI meeting notes. So we can do this. And we'll just ask it to come up with a sample meeting note. So now I just gave a very generic meeting note and we can accept. And let's go ahead and delete the action item. So this is what we want the block to generate. So now what we can do is that we can just hit generate. So this is after the meeting when you have all your notes, you could just click generate. And it basically gave an action list based on these notes that you typed. So this is a really useful way to always have the same prompt, no matter how many notes you add. So you can add another meeting, you open it up, click new meeting, and then you would be able to type your notes and then simply use the AI autofill block. So that can be really useful. So as you can see, create an action list. So you can basically use this as a way to store your prompts instead of having to come up with them each time. And this is also going to standardize what you ask AI to do. So these are all of our main tips for Notion AI and basically what it can do for you. And finally, we have also some general tips. So if we open up general tips, our general tips is that if using AI blocks, it generally applies to the whole page, even properties. So be careful what you add there if you want accurate results. So it's really easy for the AI blocks to also take into account properties. So if you don't want to confuse it too much, you might want to consider adding less properties and more text in the main page. And if you're not happy with the result, you can always just hit generate to keep generating new ones. So sometimes AI can still malfunction, but it can be really good if you just keep generating and you should find a accurate or better solution that AI comes up with. And finally, ask for specific requests when using a prompt. So whether you want it in bullet points, how do you want to format it, approximate length of the text, and so on. So the more details you give it, it could also produce something that's closer to what you're looking for. So those are our main tips, general tips in terms of how Notion AI works and what's so unique about Notion AI. So as you can see, the database use cases are one of the best ways that really sets it apart from other tools. So now let's get into the next section. And in this next section, we're actually going to be building a very simple notebook template with AI. And we will also incorporate AI features into the databases. So if we click the preview, we can briefly show you what we're going to be creating today. So it's basically going to be two databases, one for your notebooks, topics like this, and you'll have a table with all of your notes like this. So it's very simple, but we just wanted to show you some use cases in case you want an easy way to really get started with using Notion AI. And if you have your Notion open already, you're more than welcome to follow along while we build this. Otherwise, this is also going to be recorded, so you can also play it back and build it from scratch and replay it if needed. So let's get ahead and start building our notebook template with AI. So if you're starting with an empty page, you can basically title it, add icon and cover photo the way that you like. And then we can go ahead and click the three dots up top, and we'll be doing small text full width just that we have more space on the page. So now if we are here, what we can do is normally we like to store databases in separate blocks, but in this case, we're going to keep it very simple so we can really focus on the AI elements of this template. And since we only have two databases, so the two databases we're going to create today is a notebook database and a notes database. So for the notebook database, you can go ahead and type slash and gallery, and we're going to create a gallery view database. And this one's going to be notebook. And let's go ahead and name it Notebook AI event so we can find it easily later. And we're going to go ahead and just add some simple cover photos. So we're going to go ahead and change the layout so that it's taking the card preview to be page cover. And then what we can do is open one up. So let's say the first one is going to be a science topic. And we're going to remove the created time. And we're just going to keep things very simple. And let's go ahead and remove what's inside here. And we can add a cover photo. So let's say something science related, change cover. And we can look for science. So we can choose something like this. And we can reposition if needed. Let's go ahead and add a notebook. So something like a book. And we can keep it purple to be in the AI theme for today. Let's go ahead and change it to purple. And we can click out. So now we have our first notebook here, which is going to be the science topic. We can go ahead and delete these so that we can just focus on that one. And now we basically have this. And once you have this, you can also hide the database title. We'll hide it at the end just so that it's easy to connect the two. So underneath here, we're going to add our notes. So actually here we can do slash heading 3 notebooks slash divider. So you can see all of your notebooks in here, and then slash note heading 3. And then you can add your notes here slash divider. And then inside here, you can do a table view database for your notes. So we're going to go ahead and type slash table. And we're going to add a table view database here. And this one we're going to call notes AI, and we'll also name it event like this. And inside of our notes database, we can go ahead and check all of the properties that we want to add. So some of the things that we would recommend you to add is, for example, the AI summary. So we're going to go ahead and click the plus sign here, and let's go to AI summary. And we can try on this view, but it's not going to show anything because we don't have anything yet. And after AI summary, we can also add a AI key info here. So this one we can do, for example, AI keywords, and then we can choose that one. So it's going to load those keywords. And then what could be useful is to have URLs so that you can add your notes. So we can put URL here in case it's an article, something like that. And then finally, maybe a last edited time could be really nice so that you know exactly when you edited it last. So basically we have our keywords summary, and we can remove the tags. And of course, you can add more AI properties to this if you want to kind of practice and see what's really possible. And we might add another one, which is actually we'll add that as a block later. So we're just going to stick with these to keep things simple. So let's say that we now have a sample note here, and we want to add it to the science notebook. We can now create a relation property. So we're going to click the plus sign here and add a relation. And we're going to relate it to the notebook AI event. So here we can find it. And this is why it's so important to name it something you can easily find. So we're going to go ahead and click this one, Notebook AI event. And we'll show it on the Notebook AI add relation. So now what we can do is tag the note as science. So we can go ahead and put this and choose science so that it's tagged by the correct notebook. And then what we can do is to add the sample note here about science. And inside here, we can ask AI to write about something relating to this. So let's go ahead and see more. Write a sample note about science. And then we can enter, and it's going to write something here. And then we can accept it. And then one thing we can do now is that now that we have everything here, we can actually click the update button so that we can add new things here. And we can also add here as well. So now we see both the summary and also a article inside. And you can see your notes like this. And one thing you might want to do if you're adding your notes with your AI summary is that it's going to take a lot of space. So you might want to consider changing the layout here so that it doesn't wrap the columns. So if you do this, it's going to look like this. If you do this, you kind of save some space here as well. So the final touch we want to add is to have this to show up in our science. So what we can do to do that is basically click plus new template. So this is going to be a new notebook, and we can also hide this property so that we don't see it up top, and then slash link to view of database. And we're going to showcase the notes AI event, this one, and we're going to add it as a table. And the key thing to do here is to hide the database title and filter it by the notebook so that it's the new notebook, safe for everyone. So now we have the notes that's going to show up here. So if we click out and then click the new notebook, it's going to show up the notes relating to science like this. And now we can go ahead and add this as a default. So we can click the blue button here and set this one to set as default for all views and notebooks. And we can also hide the database title so it looks a bit cleaner. We'll do the same here, hide database title. So now the one thing we wanted to also add is actually to add the AI custom block. So if we click plus new template, just like we showed before, if you have a new meeting note, so let's say that this is a meeting note template, then you can add here slash heading 3 notes slash divider. Let's say you have your notes here like this, and then here you can do AI, custom AI block, and then you can do something like 5 action items in checkboxes relating to these notes. And make sure not to click generate, and then we can click out. So if you have, for example, a new notebook which only uses meetings, you can do something like this, and it's only going to show meeting ones. So if we have meetings here and we add a new one, so if we open this up and you want to use the meeting note template, you can go ahead and load the meeting notes inside, and it's going to include the custom AI block. So as you can see, we see the notes, and then inside here, you can see the 5 action items and checkboxes relating to these notes. And we can go ahead and choose meetings for this one and click here. So now if we open meetings, you can see your meeting note template here like this. So these are all some few ways that you can consider using AI into your Notion workspaces like this so that you can add further information like your summary, keywords, and so on And you can even filter your keywords. So this can be a useful tool to have this as a sort of multi-select. And then you can see your summary and have the meeting note template with a custom AI block. If you're studying, you can also have study notes, which is going to generate multiple questions for you to help you study for your notes. So all of these can be a super useful way to generally add Notion AI into your workspaces. So hopefully this all made sense. If this went too fast for you, be sure to check the recording when that comes out. And there'll also be timestamps later, so you can skip around to the place you need to rewatch. But the notes use case can be one of the best ways in terms of how you can incorporate AI quickly and kind of intuitively. So let's go ahead and go back. So if you're interested in more features than what we showed you, we also have fully fleshed out Notion AI templates over on our store. So be sure to check out our entire line of Notion AI templates. We do have a 40% discount code with code SEP40 during checkout during the month of September. So don't miss out. It's almost end of September, but we'll probably leave this code a little bit longer as well. And just to give you sort of a brief preview of our note-taking AI template, we can go ahead and show you here. And this might also help you to see some new ideas on what kind of features you can add to your AI templates. So this one we've added basically the AI to give you, for example, review questions and action plans and short summaries. So this can be a really useful feature. So AI can really help you to summarize, give you the 5-step action plans, and review questions. And it kind of works in this way. So you can really incorporate the AI elements and save a lot of time in terms of understanding what you've written. This is especially useful if you're looking at notes that you've taken a really long time ago, for example. So yeah, we recommend definitely to add short summaries, action plans, and all of these things for the AI features. And now if we go to the next section, we wanted to just briefly cover the costs of Notion AI. So basically, how much does Notion AI cost? So Notion AI includes some free responses for new users that you can use to try it out. If you're interested, you can also upgrade with a paid plan for unlimited usage. So if you start really using Notion AI, we highly recommend you to just go with the paid plan because it's just going to quickly add up if you just use the free responses. And it really does save a lot of time when you have Notion AI. And another quick tip about Notion AI, if you do decide to purchase the add-on, is to make sure you're in the right workspace when you add this in. So when we first added Notion AI, we also had the same issue that we accidentally added it into the wrong workspace. So really be careful that you're adding it to the correct workspace. So now we're going to go to our Q&A section. Be sure to add any questions you might have into the chat, whether you're on YouTube or if you're on the Zoom today. Be sure to add them into the chat and we'll be going through them. So here we already have 3 questions. So we're just going to start adding them, start discussing these. So first there was, is there a limit to how many AI blocks or columns should be used on a database? So there's currently no limits on how many blocks or columns you can use for AI. But if you have a bunch of AI autofill blocks, for example, it might confuse the AI if you put a lot of them in. So maybe it's best to be a little bit more conservative in terms of how many you add so that you don't confuse the AI on what's on the page. But generally, there's no limit. So you can add as many AI blocks as you want. And also for this as well, be sure to experiment to see what works and what doesn't work, as there could be kind of differences and AI doesn't always work the way that you might want it to all the time. So there can be fluctuations as well. So next, someone asked, can AI give me a summary of a PDF page? And for this one, Notion AI actually recently released some really groundbreaking updates, and it's really been a huge game changer. And some of these is that you can now add your PDF, and Notion AI is actually going to give you a summary of it. So, how you can access that is actually if you go to this here and you can upload files, and it's going to look through your files and give you a summary. So these are some new features that Notion AI has added. There's also some beta features that it will look through, I think, your Google Docs and other third-party apps as well outside of Notion. So this can be also very useful. The third question we see here, can keywords be used like a master tag database? If you can also clarify exactly what you mean by master tag, that could also help us answer the question a bit better. But basically, keywords can be used in a way that you can filter through them. So if we go back here and we go to let's build, let's say that we have here, um, and let's say that we have the tags. So now we can see the AI keywords: scientific inquiry, technological advancements, natural world understanding. So what you can do with these is actually that you can filter them or you can also group them. So if we go here, maybe the best way to use these could be grouping. So you can group, and what you can do is group by AI keywords, and you can alphabetize them, and then what you can see is ones without the AI keywords. And then you can see all of your nodes relating to each of these tags. So this can be very, very useful as well. So now if we go back to our questions, and feel free to keep asking questions if there's more. I see here in the chat, Brenda said, how did the questions get added? Was it manual or automatic? Can we do speech to text in real time? Can you clarify a bit what you mean by how did the questions get added? Manual or automatic? Um, in terms of, do you mean the AI property? So if it's the AI property, basically if we go here to this space and if we go to let's build and we go here, you can basically see any questions if you add them, for example, like this. You can also add the question here. So let's say that we do, these are actual real questions here. So you can actually add, for example, AI, and then you can ask AI to come up with questions. So for example, 5 key questions based on these notes, and it's going to sort of generate them here. So all of these ways are a really good way to generate questions using Notion AI. Hopefully that answers your question, Brenda. And if you have any further questions, feel free to ask some more. So is there anything else here? So how did the questions get added? Was it manual or automatic? Anne has been adding the questions, if you mean in the Q&A. She's been gathering all the questions from YouTube and in the meeting chat today. Yeah, so hopefully this answers all of your questions. Yeah, feel free to ask more. If you have any further questions, feel free to also email us. We like to answer any Notion related questions, and we're more than ready to help. So if we now move on to the next section, we just wanted to share how you can download our freebies. And currently we have a 40% discount code with code SEP40 during checkout. So be sure to check out all of our Notion AI templates. So we have an entire Notion AI section on our store. So be sure to check those out. And especially for some of our travel planners, we're especially happy with the way that Notion AI can help you in terms of, for example, like packing lists and so on and recommendations. So feel free to check those out. And then we also wanted to share all of our freebies here. So we have quite a lot of freebies. We have, for example, habit trackers, recipe and meal planners, cover photo sets, and more. So feel free to also download all of those. Then those should also help you get started with Notion if you're, especially if you're new with it. And finally, we also offer one-to-one coaching sessions and also custom design solutions if you're interested in that. So feel free to come chat with us. We have a free discovery call. So we're more than happy to meet with you and discuss about your particular needs and what kind of solutions we could potentially offer you. And finally, as we mentioned, if you have any questions or comments after this event is over, feel free to contact us at organizednotebook.info@gmail.com. Brenda, thank you so much for asking so many questions. If it's too long to quickly explain, feel free to also send us an email and we'll try our best to help you out. And then you can add more details then. Yeah, great. We can't wait to hear from you. So again, thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. And yeah, let us know if you have any further questions or anything relating to this topic. And we hope to see you in the next event.